Hey guys, I'm here at Radiant Images, the most innovative VR rental house in sunny Los Angeles. And today we are gonna do an in-depth review of the Z Cam K1Pro. Filming me right now. This is the first ever camera certified by Google on their VR180 program, and it's a really great professional level 180 camera. To make this video interesting, I gotta compare the image quality between this camera and my two GH5 200s VR180 side-by-side rig in image quality and stereoscopic quality. And to make it even more interesting, if you see right here, I gotta compare that with the Obsidian S and also the very expensive Z Cam V1Pro. Cut them in half in VR180 so you can really understand how the side-by-side rig work compared to 360 and then how good is the image quality of the Z Cam K1Pro. Again, this is a VR180 video. To fully enjoy this experience and see the true quality of this camera, you should probably watch this in one of these VR headsets. If you don't have a VR headset, you can also watch this in the very cheap Google Cardboard. And here's the instruction on how to watch that. What's up everybody, it's your boy Hugh here from Creator Up. Before we dive right in and talk about the Z Cam tech spec, let's do a camera comparison first. As you see the screen right here is captured direct feed from my red camera right here to the back screen right here. So you see that there's a 4 camera in the setup. And the bottom is the Z Cam K1Pro, and the middle is a 2 GH5 and the 2 Antenna HAL 200 lens. And then on the top, we have the Obsidian S. And then on the right, we have this professional, very expensive Z Cam V1Pro. They're all shooting at the same time. So look at the screen right there. So as you all know that for stereo rig, right now I am about 3 meters away from the camera. So put on your VR headset, look around. The first one is the Z Cam K1Pro. So I'm just a step away. Really far away, about like 5 meters away from the camera, back to the wall. You can check out my focal chart behind me to really see how sharp is this camera. And then I'm gonna go back. As you all know, for VR stereo rig, there's always a safe distance between the subject and the camera. So right now I'm walking toward the camera, getting really uncomfortably close to the K1Pro. So now I'm actually arm length. My distance between me and the camera. That usually is not a safe distance for any stereo rig. But I gotta break that. I gotta go even closer to the K1Pro and touching the camera. And then I gotta touch the GH5. And then I gotta touch the Obsidians. And then I gotta touch the V1Pro. So now you see how close the camera compare and the stereoscopic effect of all 4 of this camera. So next, this is the 2 Panasonic Lumix GH5 with the Antenna HAL 200 fisheye lens. First, let's look at the image quality. Why is image quality so important? Because if majority of your audience are going to watch your content on a desktop browsers or on a mobile phone without VR headsets, stereo 2D quality does not matter to them at all. They don't even see your whole frame, just cropped it in the center. And that is why I would not even suggest it. You should lower than 6K for VR180, like using the E Horizon or the Lenovo Mirage camera, and they shot up to only 4K. It's going to look blurry and low quality compared to the regular 1080p video. And that is the impression your audience will get if they don't know this is the VR180 video. And most of them really don't. So your goal is to maximize image quality as much as possible to make your cropped 180 VR video look as good as regular 1080p video shot on a common DSLR. And that is the whole reason why I use the 2x GH5 rig, because I shot all my regular vlog video in GH5. So the same quality will be transferred to my VR180 video. So I don't punish my viewer who don't own a VR headsets. This is a comparison video. I try not to make too much personal comment on the image quality. you should scroll back to look at the K1Pro footage and compare it with the GH5 footage. And let me know in comment section which one you like the best. They are in the same resolution, both in 6K, and both of them are micro four thirds sensors. Obviously, the GH5 is a more expensive setup with a professional fisheye lens, the Antenna How 200s, the same brand used on the red Gigan you see on my left or on your right. You can tell the GH5 has a slightly better dynamic range and a better highlight roll-off. And the skin color on the GH5 is better than the Z Cam. And in general, I just like the GH5 look. But again, it is because I am a Panasonic shooter, and you might disagree with me, which is okay. Now let's move on to stereo quality. And again, you should watch this on a VR headset. The GH5 is 100% manual stereo calibration with Mystica VR. I think it looked good in this scene because I spent hours to make this look good. In the next video part 2, when I show you the post workflow comparison, you will really appreciate what Z Cam did for you to make your life easier. Stereo calibration should be a computer AI job, and that is what Z Cam K1's strong point is. When I come close to the camera, you can see the stereo bay is larger in GH5 than the K1Pro. It is because the I/O distance is larger in the GH5. It is around 75 mm, and the Z Cam K1Pro I believe is 65 mm. So you can go closer to the Z Cam than the GH5, according to the Stereo 130 rule, which is another very important decision you need to make when you're choosing a VR180 camera. And another thing we know about for VR180 rig, side-by-side rig with the Professional V1Pro or the Obsidian is the side. So now I go on to the left side, next to this moving rig right here. As you see, we should see vertical parallax between the K1Pro and the GH5, and then compare that with the V1Pro and the Obsidians, and you see the vertical parallax distance and how good is stereo in the side of the camera. And just a rule of thumb, you always want to put your subject in the center frame, not on the side, because you see really funky stereo parallax effect if you walk to the side, like right now I'm at. So here is the GH5 in the same scenario, going to the side, the left side and the right side. And you can also check out the vertical parallax, especially on top and bottom when I'm on the side. The GH5 have a less vertical parallax and actually almost unnoticeable because I did a lot of calibration in Mystica VR to try to get rid of vertical parallax even on the side. You will see a little bit more vertical parallax in the Z Cam version, but still there's a common issue of any side-by-side rig like the K1Pro or the GH5. On the side, there will be a vertical parallax, especially on the top and bottom on the side. And that's one disadvantage compared to side-by-side rig than a full-on 360 VR rig. Next is VR180 created by Kandao Obsidian S camera in 6K 30 frames per second. One advantage of Kandao Obsidian S that cannot be shown in this video is that it can actually go up to 50 frames per second in 6K, so we can keep a higher frame rate than K1Pro or GH5. You do need to realize that both Obsidian or the Z Cam V1Pro is fundamentally different camera design than K1Pro or GH5 side-by-side. You can say K1Pro is a stereo pair design with two 180 fisheye lenses paired together to create stereo, and there is no stitching involved. But both Kandao Obsidian or the Z Cam V1Pro, which using radial design, require extra stitching. So this is one of the disadvantages of using a full-on VR360 camera as a VR180 camera. Besides pricing, in general, the VR360 camera are more expensive. The Obsidian S costs around $6,000 US, and the Z Cam V1Pro costs around $40,000 US. But as you see, the Obsidian also has pretty good image quality and stereo quality. And the stitching is actually very easy and AI based. If you follow my Mythical VR and Obsidian tutorial and you own the Obsidian camera, there is no need to invest an extra VR180 camera. You can actually really easy to use your current VR360 camera as a VR180 camera. And I will teach you how in part 3 of this series when we come to VR180 post-production. By the way, if you own the Insta360 Pro, which can also shoot 6K stereo, you can achieve the same result. But the image quality will be not as good as any of the camera listed above. One special advantage of Obsidian S or R as a stereo camera in general is you can go even closer to the camera than the GH5 or the K1Pro because of the camera design. But you do need to use the Mythical VR edge point feature to really leverage this advantage. Another advantage to use radio design VR360 camera is the vertical parallax is very evenly spread out, even on an extreme left and right sides, as you see right here. So your subjects, actors or actresses are safe to go left and right without causing vertical parallax issues. To make this fun, the next footage you are watching right now is shot with the Z Cam V1Pro, a $40,000 high-end 360 VR camera in the exact same scenes. As you see, the V1Pro also has really nice color and image quality right out of the box from Wonder Stitch, the Z Cam native stitching solution. One noticeable thing about the V1Pro is its extremely sharp and clear images, without even any post-sharpening or HDR done to it. V1Pro has 9 different high-quality fisheye lenses and also utilize Micro Four Thirds big sensor for capturing. In theory, 4.5 lenses are used to create this VR180 video. Compare it to the Z Cam K1Pro, which only use 2 lenses to create the stereo effects. If you do the math, the V1Pro should have more information captured, so will generally have better image quality and stereo quality. The advantage is really shown with subjects are on the left or right sides of the camera. As the vertical parallax is evenly spread out in this entire scenes, again, there is stitching and post-production involved. Even Z Cam Wonder Stitch make it extremely simple. As you can see, the scenes start to break down when I'm close to the camera and crossing the stitch line. You will need Mythical VR to do a fine stitch to fix it. So if you are looking for an easier solution, the Z Cam K1Pro is still a winner here. This concludes the first part of the K1Pro review and comparison video. The next part will be even more interesting, as we will test the low light performance of Z Cam K1Pro compared to the 2 GH5 side-by-side rig and the Obsidian S camera. I call this test the extreme low light candle test, as we will only light the room with candles. In part 3, we will go into detailed tech review, stitching and stereo calibration and post workflow of the Z Cam K1Pro. If you want to learn more, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, guys, and with me here is Omar from Radiant Images.
Hi guys, thank you so much for watching Hugh's video. If you guys have any more questions about VR cameras, 2D or 3D, please feel free to contact us. We do a lot of rentals. We can help you out with any of your projects, low budget or high budget. We have the solutions for you.
Great, guys. I'll see you guys next time.